Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Supernova Astrology update for May 12th through 19th, 2025. Well, we're still feeling the intense energies of the Scorpio full moon that happened on May 12th, and that moon happened at 23 degrees of Scorpio. So that full moon in Scorpio was meant that the full moon not too far in opposition with Uranus and Taurus, and Uranus is now at 27 degrees of Taurus. And so now the sun is coming up into a conjunction with Taurus, with Uranus, and that in Taurus, and that will happen on the 18th. So we're still feeling the energy of what this full moon has been about. Exactly for the full moon, we've had Mercury in a square with Pluto in Aquarius, Mercury now in Taurus, square with Pluto in Aquarius, and opposite of Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. Now, Mars just made this square, these squares with Pluto and Black Moon Lilith, a fixed T square. Now, Mercury's making a fixed T square with Pluto and Black Moon Lilith. And Mars, we were feeling that square for the last few weeks, and that was the third and final time that Mars made squares with these planets during the retrograde cycle that started back in October of 2024. So, but this final pass that Mars made these squares was with Mars in Taurus or Leo and Pluto in Aquarius. And so we're looking at moving into the new age. Everything is speaking to this, as just on May 5th, Pluto turned retrograde in Aquarius, having made it to 3 degrees, a huge breakthrough into new territory. And 3 degrees is a number of creation energy, of taking 1, 2, the parts, and making more than the parts. So Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius and turning retrograde is speaking to the fear we have of our own power, the fear we have around hooking back up to what's rightfully ours. It's programming, especially for Supernova Souls, because we have already fully accessed this power and potential. It's ours. No one can take it from us, and yet we did give it away. And how do we take it back? So this is everything that the stars are talking with us about. Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio is speaking to deep, dark secrets around the feminine. And so in Scorpio, we're talking about access to creation energy. We're talking about what's underneath the darkness and the source that gives life meaning and purpose. But it's in Black Moon Lilith is always about things that are deeply hidden or repressed, and often feminine energies. So in Scorpio, we're looking at programmed shame around sexual energy, because all energy, all creation energy, everything we use to heal or grow anything is the same energy as sexual energy. But sexual energy has been chained into the lower chakras by forces that have sought to keep us attached to materialism, to the lower ego constructs, and believing that the sexual energy is creation energy when it's not. I mean, um, creation energy is sexual energy, and sexual energy is creation energy, but not all creation energy is sexual energy in as far as the way we express it in the lower chakras. It's such a different experience and the full body and full chakra experience of working with Kundalini energy, this life force energy. But everything is particularly in, especially in the Piscian age, our last age, everything was about blocking, demonizing, and making the people fear this energy, to fear healing, to fear the movement of flow. And because that's when we have the symptoms come up. And so it's like by creating a dynamic of suppression, then when healing does occur and the symptoms express themselves, then you can blame the symptoms and make the symptoms the disease. But the disease always is invisible. And this has been shown and proven. We know this. Like, when you say you get a cold or you're sick or whatever, and you know that you're most contagious or it's most active before you even get the symptoms. And so it's an energetic vibration, all disease, and then it manifests as symptoms. And so the symptoms are actually an expression, our body trying to get rid of it. And so we really need to remember this now. I think that's why I keep talking about it, keeps coming up. Basic classical homeopathic philosophy, which is also the physical laws of the universe. And that in order for true healing to occur, um, symptoms and energies need to be expressed by the body. Because if it's energy to begin with, then it's got to go back to energy. That's what happens. We have symptoms, and our body is throwing off, trying to get rid of something. And so we can support that along rather than telling our body. What we've been doing with Western medical system is telling our body that we don't care about the symptoms, that we don't care about the hurt and the pain and the disturbance. We're going to ignore it again and again and again. And this is like kind of, if we want to look at this issue of sexual energy and healing, um, and that everybody seems to want that sexual energy in their life. Everybody's looking for it, not realizing that the source of all energy is really our own body and our own being. And so there's a lot of attention given to sexual energy, especially in the feminine body, and the energies around that. Um, and it's kind of like all this attention on that one expression of the feminine takes away from so much of the wholeness of what the feminine brings. And this is what's been cut out of the story, of the Bible, of our life, of our world. All the advanced technologies we're talking about are feminine technologies. So we're just in this weird place where we've been talking about how can we hook back up? Like, say we're only using a trickle of that creation energy that's ours by birthright, simply by existing. It's ours. They have done, they have multiple ways have fractioned us into pieces and siphoned off our energy. One way being trading our birth certificate as a commodity. But the evidence is there that if our birth certificate is a commodity representing our energy as a person existing, then we have energy as a person existing. We are the energy, we are free energy. And so the game of the control forces keeping us in scarcity, it's kind of like a love relationship. And yeah, it works if there's an energy of mutual reciprocity and offering and sharing, But if one person wants to control the situation, then that is not going to allow the energies to flow. And so this is the situation of our relationship to the feminine. We want to look at her. We want to get the energy, but we don't want to tend to her or speak to her or listen to her or heal her. We just want the juice, you know? And this is kind of like Mother Earth offering, 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 loving, showing up, offering. And, you know, where do we think we can continue to live? On an organism, a living, breathing goddess that gives us everything that we need. Because the sun is her too. The sun is water. She's everything manifest. She is the absolute sovereign of this realm. In this world, in manifested life, this beautiful experience we get to have, she reigns supreme, or at least she needs to again. 100%. We've got to give back over to this energy that how can we continue to live and receive and take resources that we're not willing to support and honor the source of those resources? Anything you value in life, doesn't it make sense to have a natural gratitude and appreciation, a desire to cultivate that and grow it? No, humans just want to take and take and take. And we've been so separated from where our true abundance comes from. But I'm telling you this, we can go around and around about, but we're going to come back to one thing, Supernova Souls, that you are the abundance. Our energy, our field, our work we've done over lifetimes puts us in this massively wealthy place. How are we going to own it? Have the strength and the confidence to stand up and be who we are in our power, this incredible power we know we've worked with in the past. Okay, great. But the whole last age of 2,000 years, and beyond that, all the way since Atlantean time but these last, the Piscian Age specifically, very designed to annihilate, eliminate, turn inside down, upside out through delusional understanding, turn us away from our source, to make us hate our source. This is a fake mother energy. This is an AI mother, reptilian mother, mother that does not mother and parent. And that's why we have to come back to the ultimate value of the mother energy in our life, because it just makes sense to fortify, to cultivate, to support, to honor the energy, the place where the source of what we receive to live, And it's just so simple, but so hard, isn't it? And yet, Supernova Souls, are you're like twiddling your thumbs, your hands are tied. You're like, get me at it. I've had enough of this. Like, nope, I'm not going to live in your rules, your world anymore. It's mom's rules and mom's world. And it's hard because it's like we've been trapped in these quarantine, like compartmentalizations of these different levels of consciousness. And then we're isolated and we find ourselves in situation after situation that cannot receive, acknowledge, validate, or appreciate on any level the amazing gifts of who you are and what you bring. And have you had enough now? Have you had enough now? Because we have to say no. How can we ever let the people into our lives that can appreciate and be fully present with what we bring if we don't let go of those that aren't? And it unfortunately is just programming that's working through people very extremely right now. And it's forcing us into a corner where we finally have boundaries, where we finally can put, Supernova Souls, our energetic frequency and our needs, in our personal care needs first before anything else. You will not take my peace. This is my greatest commodity, because when you're in peace, you're growing Mother's Garden, you're co-creating new earth, you're healing yourself and the earth through regenerative properties. Go ahead and add some deep breathing and some love, sending out that love to Mother Earth, to the waters, and you are golden. And so right now, we have to say, Supernova Souls, if you're not with me, you're against me. And I'm in Mother's Garden, and I will not give you my most precious commodity, beyond my attention even, is my peace. And now we can step back and say, oh, I can see the Matrix NPC programs, and they just show up and harass and hassle to just take that one precious thing of Mother's Garden and the peace. So this is the place, and also joy, bubbly joy and celebration. That's where we can create from. So we got to get there, because they want us in the muck, but it's not working. Can you feel? It's just not taking hold. But we can we're starting to see this like massive conspiracy through technologies to keep us in very low vibrational states. And how do you take back? Supernovas, let's talk about it. Let's work on this. How do you take back your vibration? How do you take back your thoughts, your emotions, so that you're running your ship? Because this is our big test. We knew that Mars retrograde is an initiation. So now that Mars has just come out of retrograde shadow, or Mars comes out of retrograde shadow just came out of retrograde shadow. And so this is such a powerful energy. That was last week that Mars came out of retrograde shadow. And because now we're kind of like, okay, so what is this initiation about? Because Mars is in Leo. Now Mars is like 10, getting to 11, 12 degrees this week, 14 by the end of the week of degrees of Leo. And so what did we learn? What are we doing? Where are we going with this? Did we go down into the depths of that darkness with no benefit? How many times have we done this? How many times do we got to go do the clearings and the healings and send out the love and the prayers, against these brick walls of frequency fence? And so now we're coming to a point where our frequency is getting so strong that it can devour the lower frequencies, like Kali Ma, devouring the demons. Just chew them up for lunch. Literally, this is the picture. The light, the eternal, the ball of fire inside of us, the eternal flame of our light body, of our chemistry, of our power. It's such a high frequency, and it just continues to burn once you get going, and it literally consumes any darkness, lower vibration, or technological misuse of technologies, in our body and the bodies of the people around you. We're taking dominion. We're with Mother, and she has dominion over this realm, and we are taking dominion over our autonomous realm. When you live in prayer of the organic, loving Mother Earth, of your organic, beautiful, sacred form that we've worked for lifetime after lifetime, in a few short years they have defiled to the point where we will not make it without divine intervention. If you could look inside the human body right now, or who knows what these things are, but like in general, we're being rapidly taken over with self-replicating AI technology, nanobots in our body that replicate, make sensors, and literally build new infrastructure. That's these clots that are coming out of people's bodies. And so it's like every breath you take with that prayer for organic, loving Mother Earth and Mother's Garden is a beautiful prayer for the world. And but it is deeply disturbing for us, how much we have to put up with this defilement and this violation. Because us as Supernova Souls, what's coming forward is a very powerful commitment to this whole concept, that what this whole evolution for us has been about is to create this sacred form, this most beautiful human body that can host the Christ consciousness light. And it's a sacred, like profoundly special project that we have gone through so much to protect and to support. And so this attack on our bodies is, over a few short years, is a deep, dark infringement upon her body, the mother's body. When we detox this from our bodies, we're clearing it from Mother Earth more and more every day. The messages are getting so strong that our body is her body. She says, I know it's so hard because you're feeling so much, because your body's my body. You said yes to this. You said yes to being my body, to incarnating Mother Earth in your field. You said yes to this. So now you're feeling everything. And it's so overwhelming. And Supernova Souls, we have taken on so much and processed so much for the collective. And it's going to be, it's what's happening with this karmic push right now to drop all of our loyalties. Even if they seem like higher loyalties, there's no higher loyalty outside of yourself right now, because you are the direct connection to your own source, and so you are the highest authority when you're in your own being, and you're the highest authority for yourself in this world. So everywhere we're going, it looks like everywhere we turn right now, Supernova Souls are having to deal with boundary issues. What's happened is with all the work that you've done to be who you are over lifetimes and to survive these last years has it's like your light is turning on. You are quite a powerful source of energy. And it might be that that source of energy misused or leaked out is dangerous because it's getting into the wrong hands, you know, or affecting people in ways that it's not meant to, you know. So we have been, you know, our whole paradigm is parasitic and in this world and the control forces. And so it's based on the fact of creating scarcity in order to have control. And so the scarcity that gives them control is this siphoning off of our energy and our creation forces. What happens when we stand up and we say, it's my autonomous, I own it, it's mine, it's my birthright. Mom gave it to me because I exist, and I'm not going to give it out anymore. I'm going to self contain it. And I'm not going to feed any narratives. Just save the one narrative, the one plan, the original plan, her plan. And for me, this is Mother's Garden. This is just the way she wants it to be, her original dream and vision. Now, the corruption in our physical form that is happening is very much connected to an attack, or the design of it is to go after our God code DNA, the codes, the spiritual codes. You are a keeper of the codes, and this is why it's been so difficult for you. These codes have been so hidden and corrupted, and now we can't reach them in our own being anymore. We have to go back through Mother Earth's waters. That's what we did in the last activation for that Scorpio full moon. So beautiful to let the primary waters of Earth with these original codes help us remember and reset, rejuvenate, and regenerate. This is the higher power. When we're talking about our higher powers, we're talking about cellular regeneration. We don't need to age anymore. You know, and that's one thing you can step back and say, okay, well, this situation is causing us, putting us in a position to fight for life on a cellular level and decide with every cell in our body what side we're working on, you know, because it's like we're just being asked to be very strong for her, you know, that this is the way it is in Mother's Garden. And I'm sorry if that's not okay with you. You'll have to remove yourself from this situation. Like the strength that's emanating vibrationally from supernova souls of like, this has to do with Gemini, Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter's coming coming to really progressing in Gemini, and Jupiter's expansive. Got this energy of just trying to bring forward our expression, but there's so much that hasn't been expressed. And if you continue to be around people that don't want to hear what you have to say, or they invalidate it, they argue with you, or they will not hold the dream with you. You cannot waste time with people that will not hold the dream. We cannot lower our vibration and give away our peace. And so it's like we have to, but we're dealing with so much toxicity that and vibrational interference that's trying to keep us in that low vibration, keep us in really negative thinking. That's the effect of this technology. It's negative thinking. It's against yourself, self-sabotage, help, you know, so and that feeling of impossible, you can never get out from under it. And this is like a loop in our bodies. We're like having to do so much extra work just to access our own life force, because these force, the energies of infiltration, are using our life force. See, that's the thing, right? The AI, these nanoparticles that self-replicate with graphene due to frequencies, right? So what has been done is that we've been poisoned with all the raw materials very deliberately, and then the frequencies from the towers you know, push this to grow in our bodies. So if we're vibrationally resonant with the becoming a robot, then that's where we're going to head. If we're vibrationally resonant with going to Mother's Garden, then we're going to preserve our organic form. And so this is such a powerful time that we're living in, because nobody under, very few people understand that we're at the very end game of this human experience. And that's maybe why we can have the sense that some of us are going to be turning on, growing wings, and learning to fly. Some of us are going to be drones in a system, and you got to make your choice. Does that mean that our consciousness, as we evolve and become more confident, are we going to be like, somebody's got to take control over the drones? Like, the energies of the that type of programmed matrix participant, all of it has to come back around. And that's what's literally happening right now. And I don't know, the picture I get is kind of like these pictures of the magnetic field of Earth and how the magnetic field is pushing and then Earth is trying to keep its magnetic field. And so it's like, of course, the cosmology pictures are all completely off to make us so confused about the world we live in. But if you can imagine this picture of a force and then something trying to balance and repel, and all of a sudden the balancing and repelling, it just pushes through, and then the repelling, then it kind of flips inside out, and then it's pushing from behind. Okay, then the energies are pushing you from behind. Oh, you want to create Mother's Garden? Oh, you're on by with that. Well, here now, this shit's ready to work for you. Are you ready for shit to work for you? Are you ready to be in the abundance, the truth of who you are? It's energetic, it's powerful. Nobody is ever recognized and fully appreciated. We have to understand we've been surrounded by people who can't even see us very deliberately over lifetimes, attached through contractual soul mate relationships to souls that are specifically designed that their destiny is to just stand in our way, you know, of our destiny. It's kind of a depressing existence, isn't it? Because then if you pull the plug on that story, who are they? If their whole lifetimes of experience has been about harassing and getting in your way while saying that they're helping you, of course, and supporting, you know, everything that's been working against us is boomeranging around to push us forward now. Can you receive that? It's so hard because we're so programmed with those limiting thoughts and this depression and this hopelessness, and but it's so blooming right now, and right behind those feelings of impossible, alone, never going to get out of this, all that, just right behind that is this incredible hope of a new life and new potential. So this is what's going on in the astrology, right? The thing is that Saturn is now approaching, is made it to, as of the 13th, makes it to 29 degrees of Pisces. Saturn's going to be here at 29 degrees of Pisces from the 13th to the 25th. On the 26th, moving into the sign of Aries. So huge, because that means that Saturn's coming into a conjunction with Neptune. So we'll talk through that because that's going to last all the way through next year, the beginning of 2026. Saturn at 29 degrees Pisces is so powerful because this is a complete rehash, reimagining, loop, the biggest loop de loop and the smallest loop de loops of the Piscean age, right? Like, what are we taking with us? Saturn at 29 Pisces is, what are we taking with us? What are we leaving behind? So all of the energies of your life, every single item, project, energy, like everything in your life, it's like kind of like we're being asked to do an inventory and be like, okay, is that old? That old world or new world? I was like, we kind of want to go to the old world, the Tartarian world, and bring that back and get rid of this nightmare that we've been living. And so there is this line in the sand that we cannot take the same dynamics of the Piscean age of, using lies and deception to manipulate and control, to keep people in poverty and scarcity, to manipulate and control and steal our energy, demonize, persecute the light. So now the thing about this Saturn at 29 degrees is like, can we just go over and start? Because Supernova Souls are really good at letting go, aren't we? Like, pick up and move on. We've gone through so much, right? Like, I don't like let bygones be bygones, right? Like, let's just move on. But can we move forward from Saturn at 29 degrees Pisces without some sort of reconciliation of the abuses that happened to our most precious light workers and healers in the Piscian Age? Can we? Can we move forward without ever addressing true justice for the feminine? That we've been giving one picture through Western religion or through Christianity, of this virgin feminine, completely disconnected, and impossible to attain. And then all of these technologies and stories and understandings that were buried with Mary Magdalene. Like, can we really move forward without any reconciliation or any truth? Like, we're teetering on the edge of the Aquarian Age, and we think we can just move into the Aquarian Age and never talk about how we're walking around in the destruction of our ancient temples. That the giants, the spiritual mother earth giants, that are like the devoted beings, like, is that us? Like, is that why our body's her body? And that they were just frozen in time, in destruction? And we like to mine their bodies for the pretty rock? And then how about all this technology that we had that could be free energy? And then mud floods and natural disasters taking away resets so that we don't remember the technology that we've had in the past so that they can continue to control us. We cannot build anything new on these lies. We can't continue to defile the form of the human body, the sacred form, with the current infiltration in the what's called medical world. We can't do it. We're just at an impasse. And this is the 29 degrees Pisces. Like, okay, fine, we'll stay in the old world. Should we just stay in the old world? It's easier, right? Just why make any changes? Just keep it status quo, right? Just pretend it's all fine. We'll be fine. And this is the deal. So what's been happening with this, at that full moon in Scorpio, we had Mercury coming in to that fixed T-square. So this is the energies we're talking about, with Mercury opposing in Taurus, talking about an understanding around our true abundance, opposing Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio, the deep dark secrets that are keeping that creation energy in chains. And then in square to Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius, like, are we really ready to handle our co-creative power? Or should we go back to the dark ages? Because this is what it's like. If you go exert your power and come into your energy, there will be backlash. We found this in life as Supernova Souls. And it's like there's a whole energy of like, well, you're not allowed to access your higher power. If you do go anywhere near it, then we will punish you and remind you through trauma-based programming that you don't ever want to do that again. Trauma, trigger, trauma, trigger, trauma, trigger, right? So now we stand, now we overcome. And it's like we're all separated. Those of us that are just about to turn our light on, we are completely isolated. And, but it doesn't matter because we're together. And everything that we do to activate into this light body, into this full potential, into this incredible dream of the Christ consciousness, the soul of earth coming back home, to infuse our bodies and her body with Christ consciousness. That the light beings, Christ walkers walking the earth, you know, in this embodiment, everything we've worked for, you know. So so Mercury is kind of like, do you deserve it? Can you handle it? Are you going to step up and own it? And what's hidden in the darkness? And and why are you still scared of your power if it's yours? What's there really to be scared of? Because you know you're in alignment. The misuse of power was done by other people or inadvertently. And Supernova Souls have been carrying so much karma and pain for the people around them for lifetimes and for all of humanity. And it's like, well, you can try all day long, but you cannot clear karma that's not your own. And so we stay in pain and we stay in suffering because we cannot handle what's been done to our earth. The ripping and the tearing of her body in these ancient times that we haven't been told about. So Mother Earth is waking up and coming into this access to life force energy. And it's like a beautiful rippling through the earth. And it's not scary. Don't listen to all of the catastrophe programs, because she's like, I am meant to be moving and awake and alive. You know, this is that life force energy flowing. It's a good thing. That is health. If there's something unhealthy in the way, that dam might need to break. So there is a lot of dynamic healing, breaking down, rebuilding going on, but it's harmonized. Okay. So that's the deal. Get this though, this Mercury T-square is only going to last through, through the 15th. Okay, so just the next couple of days, and then that energy is going to come off. And then what we're going to move into, and it's interesting because we've had square ever since Mars got out of retrograde. Ever since Mars moved into the sign of Leo, right? We have square energies last 3 weeks. So this is the first time that we don't have that. And then we've got all these sextiles. But the energy we're really feeling is that sun coming into that exact conjunction. So we start feeling that sun conjunct Uranus. That's on the 18th, but we start to feel it on the 13th. And on the 15th. And so there's this buildup of energy because the sun Uranus is like, oh, who are we really? The sun and Uranus come together at 27 degrees on the end of the month, May 30th. That's when Uranus will make it to 28 degrees. Can you believe it? Coming to the end of Taurus. Moves into the sign of Gemini on July 8th. So epic because Uranus spends about 7 years in a sign. So we have been in this whole chapter of Uranus and Taurus, which is about our higher intuitive wisdom, and Taurus, whether or not we deserve it, whether or not it's ours, whether or not we can handle it, whether or not we can trust ourselves to embody it. And so everything is in the astrology is about this. So now that the sun's coming up to Uranus in this whole cycle of after 6 months of retrograde, and it's like, look, we can't hide who we are anymore. This is a flash of light. You cannot hide the massive power of the awakening soul on earth, awakening to who they really are, turning their light on. It's like we can no longer hide who we are. So that must mean it's safe, right? Like we've come to a place where we need to go ahead and yes, a little bit still, all the constructs are still a little bit there in a phantom-like way, but we just move the curtain aside. And we say, enough of this. Enough of this, we're here. The stewards are back and we're in our power and we're going to take Mama Earth back. We're here with her. We're her army. We stand with her. And the only thing that's going to be allowed to continue in this realm is what's in alignment, ultimately, with her dream. And that's you. You represent all of that. Everything that she wants to allow, you've been focusing on. You've been doing the mother's work for lifetimes. So now you get to be a part of the front row VIP adventure of this new earth co-creation, the ascension tour, with all this music and creativity and sharing new technologies and ideas and how to connect with the earth and the waters. This is what we're going to be doing, traveling and teaching and sharing this information, showing people. You can't just tell them, you got to show them. And so the only thing we've been seeing in the world is just trauma, trouble, and now we're losing that interpersonal connection and only getting our news and agendas from the media and technology. And so they are deciding how we feel on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment level, and we got to pull the plug on those agendas and I just saw the plug go, and it sprouted up and turned into a vine, and just whoa. And then how about we plug Mother's Garden back in, right? Let's plug the software Mother's Garden back into the AI and the news. There are 6 a.m. talking points. Let's just give them Mother's Garden, Let's just have a moment to have this experience of, a message from the animal or something. So everything has to come back around. And we have to live and breathe this truth and imagine and be so focused in this, knowing that all that resistance that's been coming at us, which is the natural duality, the natural scalar wave, right? The obstruction is the trying to balance the two opposites. So when these are balanced, the perfect, the masculine, the feminine, the polarity, then you can work with that energy. Then you have the scalar wave. What's happening is the obstruction, the opposite, is getting so strong that we have to flip around, But what's really happening, we're not flipping. It feels like this magnetic of all of this obstruction, blockages of the energy. This, have you noticed this? Every time you feel like you're in your flow or you're going to go, you're moving forward with the energy, and that's just block. And it literally is a matrix program where any part of this simulation can show up and play a role for you. But now that's all it's all dependent upon the technologies and an outside power source. That's what I was saying earlier. This technology in our bodies, it looks like life. It replicates life. It looks like life. It moves and it grows and it has intelligence. No energy. Okay, so the AI in our body can only be there if it has access to our energy, right? It doesn't have an energy source of our own. Same with the agenda of the matrix program of the narratives. It's our creation power that's allowing those narratives, and I just feel it. I feel humanity one by one just waking up and seeing through things. It's so powerful what you've gone through, Supernova. I know it's been just so difficult, and yet you are so prepared, perfectly prepared to offer so much into the world at this very intense time of transition. And you get to feel good about it. You get to feel good about what you do. You get to feel good in your body. You get to feel excited and joyful, celebration, bubbly, fun, right? And you get to know that everything you're doing is going, right? See, this has been the lie and the deceit and the deep damage, is that our energy that we have, and just say as the collective of in the US of taxpayer dollars, and the energy of taxpayer dollars going into dark evil things. This is an example. Our energy stolen and misused. It's been from same story since Atlantean time. And we just continue to hand it over and keep apologizing for the violation. Feel it horrible. Supernova Souls, you take it so personally what's been done to the earth and the body, the human body. It's just maybe you don't even want to know. Maybe you've blocked the truth and information because the defilement of the mother and all you've stood for lifetimes. And I've seen this, I'm getting this, very clear pictures, Supernova Souls, from your very first step on this earth, every lifetime you've been doing her work, fighting for her, devoted to her. It's just who we are, you know? But that's what puts us at the front lines to move into this glorious awakening of Mother Earth. So the energy that of that square is just coming off, and then we move into the Sun Uranus, and that Sun Uranus energy, it will last up till May 21st, and then we're going to move into the next lunation is a Gemini new moon on Monday, May 26th, and that activation will be on that day, Monday, May 26th. And that new moon is happening at 6 degrees 6 minutes Gemini. So here we go. The twins at odds with each other when they should be supporting the evolution of humanity. You know, the duality, fighting against each other. And now we rise above that, is kind of the energy. Because, well, at least, so then, so it's interesting because at 6 degrees Gemini, there's no other, for this new moon, the sun and the moon at that marker, there's no other planets that they're really interacting with in for the sun and the moon in Gemini. So it's like they're kind of freestanding in their own energy at 6-6. Kind of like humanity, where are we going? Are we going to go tumble back into the control-based stories of tech of accepting authority outside of ourselves? Or are we going to graduate and evolve into our sovereign autonomy so that we can move into the Aquarian Age and our abundance? So that is the Gemini new moon, and we're like, it's kind of teetering that. Now, get this, that's on Monday, May 26th. That's the day that Saturn moves into Aries. So that Gemini new moon. Now, Gemini is our expression, our voice, and it's also like, it's not just expression, it's expression of a specific message a lot of times, and the leadership of your message that you came here to give. A lot of times where like Supernova Souls will be like, I don't know, I've got this talent and this skill and this dream and this desire, and I don't know how to fit it all in because you're so multi-talented and amazing. But it might come down to a message, a specific message that then all the action comes out of that. First is the word. And so feel into that, because that's the energy of this. It's kind of like going through all of the retrograde and initiatory experience the last 6 months now is bringing us to the quintessential expression of who we really are and our individual message and song. So because it's that Sun Uranus leads up to that Gemini new moon. So the sun, one of the great, we're having all these great sextiles going on in the background between big player planets, which means they last a long time and that they're kind of far reaching, but subtle, right? They're in the backdrop, the background. And especially since they're positive transits, sextiles are 60 degrees. So it's not the next sign over, the next sign over. And so it's your next best friend. And so they're about creative solutions and working around the problems. Um, and so one of the main ones for the energy of 2025 is Saturn in sextile to Uranus. Saturn in Pisces, sextile to Uranus and Taurus. Um, Now this is really powerful because that's the signs that we had when we had Saturn sextile Jupiter. That's the signs that they were in. And Saturn sextile Jupiter is an epic generational marker of the blessings that want to come from rearranging our financial system to bring it back to true wealth. So Saturn sextile Uranus jimmying the lock on the timeline and our access to higher technologies in our own body. Because we can only stay in poverty as long as we're being kept from these technologies. And so we're just at that line in the sand, and Saturn 29 degrees. So Saturn 29 degrees Pisces in sextile to Uranus at 27 degrees of Taurus. So just 2 degrees out right now. And they were exact in the sextile from March 28th to April 13th. And then they're going to be exact again from August 4th to August 16th. And we'll be feeling that all the way through September. So magical opportunities, unexpected. Uranus brings unexpected extremes. Saturn will also bring extremes. And so it's kind of like you're over here and then all of a sudden you're over there. And so it's like jimmying the lock on our reality. And that might mean unexpected moves. And it's hard after we've been waiting, waiting, waiting. And then can you make a move and know it's right after all this waiting and stuckness? So just be open to this because we've been saying clarity is coming, but we couldn't really get clarity until Mercury got out of the squares this week because the retrogrades are still resolving. And so on the 15th, in a couple days, there Venus will be coming out of retrograde shadow. So that's a huge marker. Our last planet out of retrograde shadow. We have Pluto retrograde now, but it's total relief to have all of our personal planets moving forward. But after such a rearranging and initiation, we have no idea where we're going. So that's this Gemini new moon. It's like, oh, we got to figure out our message first, and whether we can handle our own power and who we are is that Sun Uranus conjunction. So the other thing that's going on, the other sextile is between Jupiter and Chiron. So this is Chiron in Aries and Jupiter in Gemini, and Jupiter's just coming into the sextile. This sextile will be, it's exact from the 14th of May through the 22nd. So very, very important because we've got Saturn sextile Uranus, only 2 degrees apart. We got Jupiter sextile Chiron. We also have Pluto in Aquarius sextile Neptune in Aries, 2 degrees apart. This is amazing lining up, okay? Because we've got those at the very beginning of the signs. We've got Jupiter and Chiron sextiling, they're at 24 degrees. And then Saturn and Uranus, 27, 29 degrees. So this is such a powerful energy of saying, like, the movement is fluid enough that you can rearrange. It's kind of like heating up the body, relaxing the body so that you could get a better spinal alignment when you're doing a healing session, right? This is what we've been doing. It's like the gears, we're moving the gears, oiling the gears, and it's like is coming. I don't know what it looks like for any of us individually or collectively or anything, but something like that is coming where you literally were over here and now you're over here and you don't know how you got there. You really don't know. You went somewhere finally, but you really don't know where you're going now because you were over there and now you're over here and you're completely disoriented. So this is what's going on. I mean, literally zigzag, jumping timelines. I don't know, but this is the picture of this astrology. And that has to do with these sextiles. So let's talk about the Jupiter Chiron. Chiron in Aries, the fight for life, the deep wounds over where we gave up our power away, like taking back our freedom, taking back our autonomy, our energy, our God self, our full potential. And so the wounds around that. But in sextile, harmonious relationship to Jupiter, Jupiter's always positive, like brings more luck, more money, more energy, expansion. And so Jupiter in Gemini is really moving into new territory now. And so it's like expanding into the voice and the message, right? So we heal the wounds of where we gave away our power by speaking our message and our truth, sharing it with the world. And that's why it's kind of like these stories need to be told. Like, okay, so say some abundance comes in, but if the abundance comes in but doesn't balance out the scales of why it's been so hard for us, like why we've been so targeted and what we've done over this evolution and to hold this whole game together, all we must have a reconciliation. And so the truth must be told. And that's kind of the energy of like Jupiter sextile Chiron, right? Like now we talk about the wounds. We can't heal while we're suppressed. It's really hard. Like a lot of people are going through a lot of things, and then you start talking about this stuff to somebody, and they're going to be like, you're crazy. First of all, you're freaking me out. You're wrong. Didn't you see it on the news? This, whatever they're going to say to you, right? And it's like, well, not a lot of healing can happen in that environment, right? So we got the message at the activation to write it down, that we're being called to write our story, that we don't have people around us that can really listen and hear. If you could find a supernova, wouldn't you be lucky? They're the best listeners in the whole world. So that is really important, and go back and get that reset, that DNA code of our coding. We're losing our code, we're losing access to our own miracle god codes, but mom still has them. So very important reset there, and all those messages and healing and support for telling your story. Some of us don't even remember our story because it's that traumatic. And so a lot of this as we're waking up, we're talking about the earth is waking up, we're feeling everything, and that's how it is when you come out of trauma. Like, first it's numb. It's numb, so you can just compensate to get through to the next thing. It's not until you have the space to do the deeper healing work that it's all gonna come out, all the worms out of the can, you know, and that's where we're at right now, cleaning out the closets. And first, you got to make a bigger mess, right? So that's kind of Saturn at 29 degrees Pisces. But guess what? It's like, really, is it really over? Like, do we really not have any? Wait, we have the North Node in Pisces, but we have had Neptune in Pisces since 2011, Saturn in Pisces the last couple of years. So it's been a lot of, and then these retrogrades that we just had with Venus and Mercury. And so we got that Neptune in Aries and Pisces was about a rehash of the Piscian Age, right? Like seeing through the delusions and clearing it out, and so we can move forward. But we can't really see through the delusions until you get out of that energy. It's kind of like, yeah, you're not going to be able to heal that energy in the same trauma of that energy. You got to get to a safe space where you can calm down your nervous system. And so that's kind of, but Neptune in Aries isn't really calm. It's like, let's go, because it's about our spiritual purpose and the vision of what's possible and a brand new start, and with Venus right there, in Aries as well, it's a brand new start for the feminine and our new world, our new dream is her dream. So, but there's a lot of active energy. But Saturn coming to the end degrees now at 29 is in a conjunction with Neptune. They're only 2 degrees apart, right? So that's bringing Saturn into that sextile with Pluto. And um, that will happen. I mean, sextile, yeah, yeah, Saturn will be sextiling Pluto as well once it gets into Aries. Um, so this is just so powerful that these personal planets are making these sextiles. We also, Pluto sextile Neptune is the other one. So we've got Saturn sextile Uranus in Pisces and Taurus, Chiron sextile Jupiter in Aries and Gemini. And then we've got Neptune, Pluto sextile Neptune, Pluto in Aquarius, sextile Neptune in Aries. So very, very powerful energies on moving forward with something new, but we got to zig and the zag, and we got to adjust, and we got to go this way and that way, and you're over here and you might be over there. So why don't you stop grasping at straws and trying to figure out your reality and next steps and what you should do and how to build and da 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 da, and how to survive and all that, and just as much as you can be present with the moment, because it is the only place we can heal, the only place we can create new earth, co-create new earth, the only place we can be with the mother. And so much is available for us in coming into a fortified field when we connect with her. And that's a lot of what the activation was about. So go get that replay, get yourself fortified, walk with Mother's Garden. It's a bubble of protection, love, healing, support that you can walk with all the time. And so this is what is becoming available to us. And maybe these sextiles have to do with this, right? So Pluto and Aquarius, we're talking about getting a handle, wrangling our creative energy, feeling safe and secure at using this creative energy in the world, in the Aquarian Age, and the higher technologies. And then in sextile to Neptune at 1 degree Aries, it's like, oh, this is the new dream. It's a feminine dream, and it's wrangling the new technologies into our favor, bringing all technology into her dream, you know? So it's like the new dream has to do, we've got to heal the old, we've got to heal those distortions, those lies from the Piscean Age and from Atlantean time. And we have to come into what it means to have a right use of energy. This is really the ultimate teachings of Yeshua, Jesus. It's about the right use of energy. And we can tap into that now. And all the work that's been done before us by masters who no longer need a body in this earth evolution, that we're becoming opening back up to communication and having them help us every step of the way, that they know what we're doing. They've gone through this before, and that we can feel the support as we walk into this new dream. So that's really what the Pluto Neptune is about. And then Saturn Uranus jimmying the lock on our timeline to come into our true potential and feel worthy of our true potential, of our higher wisdom and technologies. And Jupiter Chiron, we got to speak the truth if we want to heal the past. So it's just really, really powerful. And it's these fixed squares are coming off here in the next couple days. And then with Mercury, and then we've got that energy of the sun and Uranus. We are not, it's a strange energy because it's like we don't have any squares and it's been a minute. All the planets are direct. Venus is coming out of retrograde shadow, and we're just kind of coming out of the fog, finally being able to see, and we're at the edge of the cliff. Complete unknown. Brand new world ahead. Your new life. Are you ready for your new life? And we have to claim this moment by moment to reprogram our reality. Say, Mother's Garden, she's walking with me. I feel the mantle of protection, the bubble around me, the blanket, the lotus, her flowers. I feel this regeneration, this rejuvenation. I feel this incredible honor and gratitude that I get to be a part of this project. And it's like we're being asked 24/7, like we're not messing around anymore. We're not waiting for anything anymore. We are co-creating right now. If you want to step into it, this is the uncomfortable, the unknown. Everything that's really bothering you in your life is about this. You're called to step into your greater calling, your greater work. And it has to do with a momentary, everyday, moment to moment presence. And what's going to happen when you can hold that presence and be absolutely determined to be her warrior and to demonstrate Mother's Garden, those people will find you that can hold that field. And what a glorious day to have people walk up into your life that can hold Mother's Garden. Say, I've been looking for you. And then we win. We already won, right? But imagine we've gotten this far in absolute psychic and energetic quarantine through micro-dimensional levels, right? So the veil lifting, the technological grid lessening, and we are coming together at the power spots and with the blessings, you know? It's like everything's like, oh no, don't do that. Don't. And all of that programming, that's this targeting that's happening through, it's literally an AI program through our matrix grid where forces of obstruction will just continue to get in front of you. And it's like, don't. What? Don't what? What shouldn't you do? What would be so bad? Turn your light on and start healing people just by being around them? It's only bad for the controlled matrix and the controllers and their structures. It's not bad for you or for the world. So we have to be like, you know, and that's that thing we got into the negative thinking, because everything's blocking us. Like so hard to not get frustrated, right? But then feeling like, wait, what's so right about this? What could be more right about this situation? Like, what is the boomerang turnaround moment? Because I don't need to wait so long before months, years later to figure out the lesson. It's you can have instant download. What is right about this? What could be more right about this rather than what's wrong about it, you know? Because we have been so going up against a system that's so wrong for us and so wrong for the earth and so wrong for the animals and so wrong for life, you know? And then we're like, we gotta fix it, we gotta fix it. Do you guys see it? And then we have to be like, all right, boomerang, it's all right. And what could be more right? How can this dynamic attack be the most perfect thing, right? Because everything's coming back around to work on her team. What if that's really true? What if this it's a mechanical pole shift vibrational thing that the resistance in your life is coming so strong at you right now because it's turning inside out, going around you and pushing you from behind. Are you ready for that? It's a big change. And so we've got to drop that negative thinking. We got to change it right away. We got to fake it till we make it. Tell ourselves a new program. And it's so hard without other people around you that are on that program, you know? But keep doing it. Because every time you breathe in that truth, you're creating a pathway for a supernova soul to find you, love you, celebrate with you, listen. I want to offer you healing that you could probably receive, you know, and they want to receive your healing and they can finish your sentences and they're glowing with an amazing power because it's time to turn on and take back the abundance of who we are after all we've gone through. Now we know we deserve it. If you got your ass majorly kicked in these last couple of years, it's because you needed to know that you deserve your abundance and you're not going to give it away anymore. Just stand up and take it. Not be like, oh, I don't know. Is it really mine? I don't want to take the last piece of dessert. The whole cake, it's all yours. All of it, you know? And this is where it's like, what happens when we walk in that? Like, I'm a self contained universe and I'm not for sale. I'm not for prostitution. I'm not here to be sucked dry by succubus energies and parasitic forces, right? They just bounce right off. What's more, they can benefit from the exuding fountain of her healing power that can come through you as her steward, as her emissary, as her lover, as her fighter. This is the Mars retrograde coming to resolution. It's us coming like we know what we're fighting for now. We're aligned. We're not going to be wishy-washy. We're not going to be like, oh, I don't know. Do you think we should try to negotiate our power back from the reptilian overlords? When, like, if we were really in our power, we could just melt them, devour them, she says, Kali Ma. You know, that when the legend of her eating the demons is the power of this ball of fire, this creative eternal flame within each of us that turns on. Now that's with the third eye, but it's really about the crown. And that combustible force is not damaging or destructive in itself because it's energy and it's specifically designed to only go after what's not in alignment with her, you know? And so it's like all of that construct, technologies, toxicity, little boxes we've been put in, judgments, and all these obstacles, whatever we're dealing with. And it's just like demons, you know, it's just like, and it's almost like a wave motion. I've seen this a lot. If you are wanting to clear something really deep seated, you know, in somebody's field or your own field, it's like a wave motion can be really helpful. It's kind of like trying to get the car out of the ditch. You know, you got to kind of rock it back, get some momentum. And that's, you know, that imagery is really helpful in like lifting off. But this light is coming from you, is like rolling over the hills and the plains and consuming. not starting fires and destruction, simply consuming the darker, lower energies, the manifested technologies that are being used for harm, and the entities that don't belong in our world. Oh, we've got, on one hand, you're holding your space so good. On the other hand, there's these random entities right now that are so haunting. um, People are having experiences of being able to see through the veil where you couldn't see, and it's scary because you're like, ah. So don't think that if you're seeing some monstery energies in your field or somebody else's field, that it's something new. It's old. It's most likely something old, but you haven't been able to see it before, you know? But it's ghoulish out there right now. It's a huge bloom of energies that want to just haunt and taunt, you know? I was thinking about this, like back to the messages that were coming through, and like 2018, 2019, we were doing this great work, and there was this message that we have done so much ancestral healing and collective healing and on our own selves, supernova souls, that we had this effect of really cleaning up all the light workers and really cleaning up the lower astral plane, meaning like getting rid of the ghost army. Because with the trap of after you die, then souls are stuck. And that's part of the haunting that we've been dealing with of the very, very dark vibrational energies, is souls that have been trapped, unable to pass through because of their own traumas and not no spiritual support. Where are the shamans, you know? And so they're stuck there haunting us, you know? And but we had cleared up so much, and then boom, it was like this catastrophe that was created. Now this is part of the truth that needs to come forward, because there's a whole bunch of souls that are very, very sentient and aware, and they're wondering why their life was taken. We There's been no addressing or acknowledging the very deliberate genocide that's happened over these last years. But these souls are not stupid. And so they can't pass on all the way, right? They're stuck in that astral plane, but they're stuck in that astral plane saying, we want answers. You know, the haunting is different now. The haunting is saying, you better give us the truth, you know, and you're not going to get out of here before you give us the truth, right? We're going to get that grounded here, and so that true justice can occur. And so where can we in our lives find true justice? And that's with yourself, with your body, as mother's body, and the self-care and the love. Can you be? We have worked so hard on this, you know, and all these activations of like being the precious, like taking care of ourselves as the precious gift that we are, letting mother hold us and love us in ways we have never been held and loved, because we've been doing this for humanity. And then there comes a time when, like, we as the emissaries and representatives of the mother, and the healers and the mothers and the givers, and give and give and heal and give, and then there's nothing left. She will abundantly give until she needs to self-preserve, you know. And that's where we're at, where we have to say, oh gosh, this is a very humbling piece of how we've allowed our bodies and the bodies around us to be so mistreated. You know, it's one thing just to have a little toxicity, and then just the shame of not being able to stop the damage, going all the way back to pre-planetary evolution of Earth, where we couldn't stop the destruction. Like, we're living all of it, and it would make sense as like 29 degrees Pisces is imminent destruction, right? Like, it's like it's like we're waiting for that reset, so that, you know, of every time we have these huge astrological impulses of spiritual light, and then catastrophe, to make sure we don't receive that spiritual light. And so 29 degrees Pisces is like Saturn timeline, the laws and rules of our world. And so it's like that energy is waiting for the next catastrophe, except for that it's not happening, because we've taken back control and power enough from these forces, right? So, what is it like when you've been in a position to be attacked, thwarted, punished again and again for who you are? Like every time in a lifetime that you start to come into your true potential. And then what happens if, say, your punishers are still there and there's still energy, but the punishment isn't working or it's not adequately daunting to you? You don't really care about this punishment. You're kind of used to the harassment and it's not taking hold. And then what are you going to do? You know, it's like we're ready to get rid of this authority, but we're not really ready to get rid of the authority they have over us because it makes us feel safe. Stop. So here we are, just hanging out at 29 degrees Pisces, you know. But what a change. I mean, what a change. With Saturn. Okay, so let's talk about Saturn and Neptune because they're coming into conjunction and we started to feel the influence of this on the 2nd of May. And they are exact in excuse me, in conjunction. Saturn and Neptune from August 1st to August 16th at um, 1 degree of Aries. Okay. So they're going to stay close within, they're within 1 degree from the end of May, the 26th, the same day of Saturn moving in, that day that Saturn moves into Aries. That starts the 1 degree apart time, and that's from May 26th to August 3rd. Then they're going to be exact and still 1 degree after that, all the way through through the month of August. So then they separate out, right? Because they're both going to transit back into Aries. I mean, to Pisces, right? Because they've gone from Neptune's been in for 11 since 2011. Saturn's been for the last couple of years, and now they both move over. So Neptune has already moved over to Aries, and then Saturn will move over on the 26th. Then Saturn will turn retrograde. Neptune turns retrograde on July 5th and goes back into Pisces on October 23rd. That's going to be intense, I think. Like uh, Saturn turns retrograde on July 13th, goes back into Pisces September 2nd. So when Saturn goes back into Pisces, then we're like, okay, well, got to really rehash this and really get rid of the Piscean age. That's that line in the sand. What are we going to take? What are we going to keep with us? But also a reblooming of the Piscean age, but from a place of power and autonomy. So now we can really get those bad guys, right? And of course, the bad guys, it's all a manifestation of that duality consciousness. And as the forces switch and move to support you, then we're coming out, it is unity thinking, unity consciousness, everything we're doing. Maybe that has to do with the hosting, right? The balance, perfect balance of the masculine and the feminine allows us to host the Christ consciousness, the light in our body, in our field. So then it won't be until 2026 that the Neptune and Saturn move back into Aries for good. And so that's a huge marker of a rebirth of this world, a rebirth of our timeline, a rebirth of the dream. And so Neptune will go back into Aries on January 27th, 2026, and Saturn back into Aries on February 15th, 2026. So February 2026 is massive, massive rebirth. Like it's pretty much goes back to, it's really the last couple of years. And of course, last 10 years, 20 years, lifetimes, this whole story playing out is just a massive, massive shift. So during this time where they go back into Pisces, that's where we're rehashing. We go back and we face those false authorities with our own authority because we found the wholeness and the potential of our I am. the alignment with the feminine dream, mother's dream, and now we can face the darkness one more time. But very powerful from this, the 26th until September, we'll have both of them in Aries. So through the rest of this month and June and July and August. So this summer is really important to set your course on the new dream of what you want to see next year after this whole thing resolves. But Saturn and Neptune being close, so they're, you know, they come together in August at 1 degree. Then they'll come together in 2026 in February, and then the end of February, first at 0 degrees and then at 1 degree. So it's interesting, they meet up at 1 degree this time in August, and they both are going back into Pisces, and then they meet up at 0 and 1, right? So it's like, okay, now we've got the dream and the timeline aligned, and together they're going to move over into new territory, the new birth, the zodiac rebirth of our timeline and our dream, meaning they're one. That means the timeline is the dream, no longer the nightmare. And apparently we can't have a little of this, little of that. We got to go full on nightmare, full on dream. Maybe that's what's really messing with us, right? Because part of us is still attached and identified to the nightmare. And so we're trying to learn how to put it down. And all that we carry for everyone else and for humanity. There's no more quest. I mean, we've been so focused, Supernova Souls, on fulfilling our purpose, feeling like there's something I'm here to do, but something you're here to do is so much bigger than you. And it involves way more people. So you don't know, right? And also there's a spiritual ego energy. We know this energy where it's like, oh, I'm so important and yada, yada, yada. And luckily, Supernova Souls, we have been purged by the fires, those little lower ego constructs. And that's so beautiful to hang out with such an evolved, great group of souls. Um, and so that is this energy of a complete restart and basically that just this the claiming of the dream for ourselves and being able to put down what we've been carrying, that we don't have something specific to fulfill, some sort of mission or purpose. We got to focus now more on the fact that what we want to fulfill is the expression of the fullness and the truth of who we really are. So we just, it's just, I want to come into my full potential. I want to express and bring forward what I have within me. It's not one certain way, like some certain thing that needs to be accomplished, although that stuff could play out, but that's secondary, right? And it's always shifting and always changing in these crazy dynamic times where you're over here and then you're over here, you know? So this commitment to your full expression and your full potential is different than because it takes away the attachment and the ego constructs of we've been so missed with in past lives. One of the things that Supernova Souls are really dealing with is that we've often been put in positions of leadership in past lives, say, where we weren't prepared and we were given too much responsibility, almost like that's part of the trap of our story. And then, of course, those ego constructs of being a king or a queen or a prince or somebody important, right? You know, and it just ruined us. It was designed to just ruin us. It's like, oh, who really wants to be a king or a queen? You have any friends? You know, so this is what we're dealing with is like this dissolving of all the ideas because they trapped us in these lower personality constructs by basically interfering with the work we were trying to do and then the failure we felt failure in us not being able to accomplish so come back the next life and try again to accomplish and get really tied up into accomplishing some certain thing. And that's part of the trap into the lower personality constructs. We have to be like, I don't know what the thing is I'm doing. It might change moment to moment, day to day, project and people, but I know that something inside of me is so precious and it's been so hidden and unsupported and unloved and unnurtured. And it's growing bigger And I'm starting to love and appreciate and nurture this treasure, and it's got to come forward. So this is the Gemini in Jupiter in Gemini. It's got to come forward. And maybe we talk about the truths have to come forward in our world because we can't have a new world based on lies. But maybe the truths that are coming forward that bring the other truths is this full truth of flash of light of the supernova soul, the expression of the potential. Then we get the truth. Once we get the truth, like we are disclosure, like why is it always up to us? Right? Like, why do we have to be the garbage collectors and recyclers and saviors of Earth and nobody else gives a shit? And we just keep getting beaten down and show up in love. You know, we, we must, we must have something supernova, you know? And isn't it time to hold it precious and give it everything? Take your energy back from everywhere in your life and give it to that precious, precious, beautiful gem, flower, blooming garden that's happening within you. What we're here to work with in this lifetime isn't what we went to school for. We've gotten this message again and again. It's like we're working with stuff, talents, and skills from past lives that have been buried and hidden. Like the most powerful talent and skill we want to work with is the most hidden from us. So this is interesting because it's like, okay, so it's not a specific quest or mission necessarily could be involved, but it's about an unfolding of this potential. But that's really tied up in these uncovering the hidden gifts and treasures. And maybe that's a different way of looking at what's trying to happen with Black Moon Lilith and Scorpio is uncovering because opposite of Taurus, uncovering the treasures, right? Under the deep, dark secrets, under the persecution, under the lies, under the trauma, the abuse, like precious, precious treasures, treasure chest deep down in the ocean, hidden, you know? And so we got to unpack it. So we have all these beautiful sextiles. The one square that we do have is from the 14th to the 22nd, or no, excuse me, it's exact on the 19th and 20th, but we feel it for the rest of May. Um, and that's Jupiter in Gemini. We're talking about this in square to the North Node. So that happens exact, like I said, the 19th, 20th, feeling it through the end of May. And so we've got all these dynamic, large player energies, slow moving, coming into sextiles, taking their spots. The sextiles are one sign. We talked about 60 degrees, so it's not the next sign, but the next sign. And you have a bunch of sextiles, you get it's like a star pattern, which speaks to activation, taking the human experience to a new level of consciousness, a new expression of what we have inside of ourselves. So Jupiter in Gemini is saying, yeah, we gotta sing the song, you know. And then Chiron says, yeah, well, good luck, you don't have any room to sing any song, you're all choked up in your throat, you're about to cry, your throat's all swollen from all the words you haven't said, and you know, good luck with that one. Chiron says, better write it down. You know, the Jupiter square North Node is a block. North Node is how are we going to get to move forward? And Jupiter says, if you're not going to tell the truth, you're going to keep living lies. Is the lies what we really are worried about? The lies we've been telling ourselves to get through? That it's not so bad? Or how could it be better? So the disclosure is on so many levels. But so Jupiter square the North Node in Pisces, right? So Jupiter in Gemini is saying we can't express, we can't like heal the Piscean age and move forward on a new timeline if we're not going to speak our mind and our truth. This is what's happened with the feminine. You know, the archetypes is that the masculine silences the feminine. So we've been silencing ourselves through because we haven't wanted to listen to our intuition. We haven't wanted to listen to our body. We haven't wanted to face how we really feel. So we've got our work cut out from us if we're going to feel and heal our body and heal the earth through our body. As our body wakes up to that, we're going to feel a lot. And we're going to have to process and let go and drop, put down what we're carrying for everyone else and for the suppressed emotions, you know. So that's really powerful. And yet Jupiter sextile in sextile to Chiron is saying, but we have the solutions to do it. Like, if we speak our truth, if the feminine is heard in the world again, you know, if we take the muzzle off of the truth, and the secrets and the love and the healing can flow, then we can take back our life force, no problem. You know, so it's all, we have to speak our truth to take back our life force, and that's how we do it. But nobody wants to hear it quite yet, right? So speak it to yourself, speak it to the mother, write it down. Something about writing it down with with your hands, handwriting, these pathways to our brain, rewiring the programs, right? So much of this. And again, just remember, Saturn 29-degree Pisces is going to bring up that whole energy of like, well, how are we going to rewire the program or rewrite the software if you can't get the old out of there, right? You got to clean, you got to wipe the hard drive first, I guess, you know? And so that's what we're doing. We're cleaning house. We're getting rid of all of we've been carrying so that we can have room to sing our song, you know, find that song within us that wants to come forward. We have to get rid of all that we haven't been able to express, and kind of like stop taking it personally that we haven't been able to have people around us to work through these things. It's just kind of, it is what it is. And the resilience and the self containment and power and strength that has come to the supernova soul from surviving these last years is just incredible. I am so honored to be a part of your army, Mother's Army, and these devoted lovers of the earth stewards from the beginning of time. So the earth, the ancient tribes that were devoted to the earth, and we've seen this picture that we were there from the beginning, you know, that we saw the image and the vision of what Mother Earth wanted to become. So we hold those codes. And so we were created as supernova souls, no matter what journeys we've been on. You know, we were already created, we were already souls. But since the very beginning of the dream of Earth, we've been there. From the beginning of time, from the beginning of the creation of Earth, we've been there. And it's so special. And it's such an honor to know you. And thank you for keeping your heart open through everything you've gone through and all the love that you have within you. So this week, coming up on that Sun Uranus flashlight, who you are. With the Saturn sextile Uranus, that means the Sun is going to come into sextile with Saturn, you know, and trigger this sextile of creative solutions around accessing our and embodying our higher power and a new timeline. So when the Sun comes into this, Sun is who are we? And in Taurus, it's like, who are we really? And do we deserve it? Can we handle it? Are we good enough for our own wealth and abundance, you know? And so it's really powerful because Sun comes to Uranus on the 18th with that major understanding, an unavoidable revelation around who we are. Then on the 20th comes into a sextile with Saturn. And so the Sun sextile Saturn is a sweet energy like, well, okay, we're at the line. Who were you in the Piscian Age? Do you want to take that shit with you? Keep running around those loop-de-loops, or do we want to go clean that stuff up, get some truth, get some clearing, get some healing, get some clarity? Just so that's kind of the energy there. But it's about owning who we are in the Aquarian Age and the rebirth of humanity, the rebirth of Earth, and Saturn going over this Aries point says we're there. We got a little backtracking to do, we got a little adjusting to do over the next, 6-8 months, 10 months, I guess, 2 months into 2026. We're kind of teetering on the edge of the old and new, but that's so important so we can decide what gets to go with us and what doesn't. And that's how we get to go. We got to lighten the load, drop that shit, start laughing and having fun about it. And it'll be so much easier when we have each other. So you're so amazing, and I'm so honored to have your attention and your presence. Thank you so much for just being open to these concepts and holding what resonates with you in your heart and soul for the whole tribe. We're so connected, and it's so powerful to do this work together. So thank you so much for your support, for being a part of the Supernova Soul Tribe. That gets you into the activations and support for Supernova Tribes. There's also a link to donate if you appreciate this ad-free space, this sacred, beautiful space. I would love to receive your donation if you feel like you would like to do that. There's a link in the box below. Go ahead and catch that replay. Massive reset to the original God codes of Mother Gaia that are also within us, but we've been battling to keep that resonance and that information and that truth and that reality. Really, the battles for our reality, and so really for our souls. Our souls resonate at Mother's Garden and the beautiful dream of what this wants to become. If we can let our soul, our body, our life resonate there, nothing can touch us. And we devour the demons simply by being in the ecstatic joy of existence, just fully accessing the life force and that overflow, the cup of mana from heaven, this overflow of the fountain just can roll out and handle anything that needs to be addressed out there. No longer your problem, because you roll with her, your love. This beautiful, beautiful divine feminine energy, which is source that we can access energetically, magnetically here in 3D. That's what Mother is. She is our mother. She is the divine feminine. She is a walking, breathing goddess. She's also a magnetic field that's created through manifest world that can be fortified through intention and love and healing and prayers. So keep doing the work, keep doing it. You're amazing. Just don't stop. Just keep breathing and loving and claiming every moment of this beautiful piece of what this world is meant to be for us. I can feel us claiming this safety and security on Earth for advanced supernova souls. It's our world. It's her world again. It's her world always, our world again now, because we're taking it back. And it's glorious. Thank you so much. May you be showered with accolades and gifts and abundant treasures on all levels because of your bravery to come into the treasure that you are, my dearest supernova. So I look forward to connecting with you soon on the next update. It's so wonderful to connect with you in these ways. Let's stay connected. I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.